Well, good morning, everybody. We were having just a few technical difficulties there. This is Apostle Crystal Lee. I am here once again for 100, not 100, but 111 days of kinetic prayer. And this is an exciting time. Well, there should be sound now. There should be sound. If you have not liked the video already and you are in the room, I am asking that you would take the time just to like the video. If you haven't subscribed, if you're new here, come on, say something in the room. Let me know you're here. Let me know where you're viewing from. And go ahead and like the video after you have heard something that enlightens you, after you've heard something that inspires you, after you've heard something that gives you transformation. Go ahead and hit the like button. You'll find that this is what we do in this room, and maybe you'll just come back and come back for more and come back for more, and maybe you'll become a part of the Kinetic family. We love you this morning. We're thankful for you to be here. Today is day 75 of the prayer and day 70 of the fast. Day 75 of prayer and day 75 of prayer and day 70 of the fast. And I'm absolutely ecstatic that you are here with us this morning for this time that we are going to embark upon. You see, we changed up a little bit. We're going to talk about the power of decision today as it pertains to prophetic cognition. So we're still on the topic of prophetic cognition. Of course, we are still dealing with the mighty ones, how to become a mighty one, what the characteristics of mighty ones are. We're still in that vein. We're just shifting just a little bit on the topic so that we can expand on the conversation just a bit. So we're thankful again that you are here. We're getting everything set up here in the room, and I'm going to play a quick clip for you, and we will be right back. Because if you don't know how he speaks, how will you identify anything he's saying? You understand what I'm saying? How will you know what he's saying if you don't know how he speaks?
Mm-hmm.
You won't. So anything could be, talking to you from any perspective, but if you know how he speaks, then now you can, after you know how he speaks, now you can define who's speaking to you. Because there's always the copycat, right? There's always the copycat. He wants to utilize the same vehicles, the special purpose vehicles. Okay, we got divine special purpose vehicles, which I was calling spiritual special purpose vehicles yesterday, but we're going to delineate them. Divine special purpose vehicles and diabolic special purpose vehicles. Okay, it's going to come in the vehicle though. Okay, and it's purposeful. It's purpose for. All right. So listen, we got that. We got to understand how he speaks, and this is what he was doing with Adam in the garden, prophetically exposing him to the system, so that he would be able to carry out the system in the earth. So when the Father talks about, I don't do anything in the earth except I reveal it to my sons, he's saying, I reveal my system, my sons, so that they can say what they hear me saying in the system. So they can do what they see me doing in my system. What is the kingdom? It's the king's domain. And in the king's domain, there are systems. There's culture. There's covenant, okay? All of these things are part of the system. And so this is the place that sons are to operate from. So we live in this world that is diluted and polluted by the allure of ease, okay? That's one thing, being diluted and polluted by ease, but mankind has become dull of hearing and seeing. You know why? Because nobody's teaching. Good morning, Pumpkin. Nobody's teaching how to hear, or even the importance of hearing and seeing. The only thing we want to see and hear is the thing that makes us feel good. That's why I said the allure of ease, because anything that puts us at ease, we're okay with that. But something that puts us at not in ease or dis-ease, and see, when I say dis-ease, people automatically think of sickness, physical sickness. But there is more than just physical sickness. There is sickness that happens as a result, or dis-ease, meaning I'm not at ease in my mind. I'm not at ease in my view, because if you don't know how he speaks, how will you identify anything he's saying? You understand what I'm saying? How will you know what he's saying if you don't know how he speaks?
Mm-hmm.
You won't. So anything could be, talking to you from any perspective. But if you know how he speaks, then now you can, after you know how he speaks, now you can define who's speaking to you. Because, there's always. All right. I hope you guys remember that conversation. That is so important. One of the things that Father was saying this morning to me, he said, how am I revealing my prophetic system to you? You guys have the keys. You have some keys, some divine keys to help you identify the prophetic system. How does that work? We saw yesterday the prophetic system at work. We know what the components of the prophetic systems are. How does he reveal himself to his sons? How does he allow us to identify when he's speaking and where he's speaking to us and through us? Dreams, visions, trances, imagination, creation, and prophetic utterance, right? We've got all of these things. So name some of the things in the chat. Just briefly name some of the things as I'm going into this description this morning. As I'm going into that, go ahead and put in the chat section what kind of ways, what are some of the system, what part of the system does he use to communicate with you? It probably is multiple ways, but even if it's one way, you need to really, really lean into that. I believe he speaks multiple ways to his sons. Good morning, Elder Vicky. Good morning, Pastor Shauna. It's good to have you guys in the room this morning. I got Prophet Marlise on the line with me this morning. Good morning, Prophet Marlise.
Yes, good morning. Good morning.
Come on, sound. Come on, sound. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Now we're working on the picture, the
Okay,
avatar.
okay. All
Praise
right,
God.
let's get it done. Let's get it done. We're not taking no for an answer in this season, okay?
Nope.
Let's get
Operating in full capacity.
It's not an option, guys. It's really not an option. And this really lends itself to the power of decision. This lends itself to the power of decision. And it's so amazing because yesterday was a day of venting and vetting things for me. I was venting and I was vetting things. You say, well, venting, yeah. I have conversations with my father where I'm just venting. Of course, that always I come in the spirit of worship. I don't come aggravated, but I do come as who I am, a son of Yah. But I'm venting. I had to walk myself through some things, and the only person I had that I could talk to about the things I wanted to talk to was him. So I was venting about some things. I was saying some things about situations and about life and about how things are moving. You say, well, is things moving in a good way? Absolutely. And as things are moving in that profoundly dynamic way, there are things that are attempting to rub me the wrong way. Hello? All right. So I'm saying to him, listen, what are we doing about this? What's the direction on this? What is your mind on this matter? Because I don't want to be moving outside of your mind on this matter. Because I have, for a very long time, had context that was very powerful in a lot of ways as it pertained to relating with different people, in different places, dealing with the people. And in this season, I am determined I am not going to allow my context to be in the wrong content because that pulls me in a direction. What it does is it pulls me in a direction away from what the Father is saying and what he's doing in my life. And I'm not doing that on any level in my life. No level. Because I'm in a space that I've desired to be back in for a very long time. I'm feeling the momentum of Yah in my spirit, under my feet. I'm feeling the movement of Yah in this kinetic place that I'm in. And I'm determined I'm going to be the force that is continuously moving. I'm not going to be that force that is intercepted in the movement. Not in the season of being intercepted. There will be a lot of things that are having conversations and a lot of things that are approaching that want to intercept or to stop or to delay. Okay. But I'm not in the season of interception in any part of my life, particularly not in my soul, my mind, my will, and my emotions. I will not allow myself to be intercepted. So we're in that space of decision, and there is a great power indecision. Let's go back over something really quickly. I'm still waiting in this room here to see how the Father is revealing his prophetic system to you. And maybe some of you are unable to type, and maybe some of you are not awake. But if you're having a problem waking up this morning, I'm going to need you to get up and jump up and down just for a moment. That's the first thing I did this morning. And believe me, I stretched sleep till I couldn't stretch it no more because I spent most of the morning in prayer. I thought I was going to go to bed. I wound up not going to bed. I laid down for a little spell, but when I tell you, I wound up not going to sleep. And I stayed up almost till the time. So about 3 o'clock, somewhere about that hour, I believe it was, I finally closed my eyes for a moment. Of course, I had all alarms on everything, ready, set, and to go. Okay. But I promise you, I stretched that thing out. Thank you, Elder. I promise I stretched that thing out till I couldn't stretch it out no more. So about 4:25, 4:13, 4:50, somewhere in there, I said, listen, you got to get up. And the first thing I did, I made a decision, okay, not to lay there and try to shake sleep. I got up and I ran in place for about 5 minutes, as fast as I could run. You hear me? That got my blood moving. That got my body awakened, enlivened. You got to make some decisions in this season. That's all. You just got to make some decisions. We talked about the birthright of every son. And when I say son, I'm dealing with mankind. Okay. We know that we are sons, but I'm dealing with mankind because Yah made mankind in his likeness and image. Whether or not mankind acknowledges him or not, they've been made in his likeness and in his image. Now, they can choose to take on another likeness and another image if they so choose. That's the power of choice, okay? He's given it. That's a decision that they have to make, okay? But they were originally made in the image and likeness of Yah. So the birthright of every son is access to the prophetic. This is why people who don't even believe have prophetic clues to things. They have connection to the prophetic realm. We know that Balaam was such a one, okay? He had access to the prophetic realm. And this is why Balak called him, because he was profoundly known. He was professionally known, right, for being able to say a thing and see a thing. So he said, listen, come and curse these people. So we understand that sons have access to the prophetic. And every son doesn't hold the office. But I promise you, whether or not you hold the office or not, you have access to the prophetic. And we've given some examples of what the prophetic realm, what the system entails. You know, dreams, visions, trances, imagination, creation, and prophetic utterance, which comes from man, right? So the breath, where did this inspiration come from? Where does the prophetic inspiration come from? Where does the prophetic system derive from? It derives from the breath of Yah. We talked about every time you breathe, you know, but these are things that we don't pay attention to. They have to be brought to our attention, because otherwise we just, you know, do what we do every day with no thought, with no identity on what's being done, you know. But we breathe his name. And that is our indicator of who created us. That's one of the marks, one of the evident marks that we can see externally, one of the marks externally that we can see. But you have seen during this kinetic time, I've showed you videos of how they've talked about the DNA and how it's coded. And this is what darkness has always been after, even from the very beginning, about the changing of the DNA, the changing of man's DNA is what the adversary has always been about. So the fruit transaction was about changing the DNA. It was about changing who man was. Man didn't actually know the fullness of who they were yet. They were operating in ways that were just second nature to them because it was how they were created. But when this convincing conversation came along, now they're operating from another place. They're operating in another measure, in another manner. And if you remember what the Father asked Adam, He said, who told you you were naked? Okay, well, that when you study that out, what that actually says is, who taught you how to do this? Who taught you how to operate in this fashion? Who taught you to operate this way? How do you know this level of operation? Where did you get this from? Is what that means. Okay? So the breath and the essence of Yah released into the form of man caused him to become something. We know it, man became a living soul. He became enlivened in his mind, his will, and his emotion. And in that place of being a living soul, the spirit of Yah that was blown into man gave him divine animation. Okay, in his mind, his will, and his emotion. The decision to be prophetically cognitive is the wisdom that sets the new breed apart. It's a decision to be prophetically cognitive. Now, what are we talking about? We've had this conversation for a little while, and if you're new, we're going to go over just a couple of things so that you understand the conversation that we're having, okay? Because prophetic cognition is a reference to one's ability or process of perceiving or understanding and interpreting divine information or insights that are of a prophetic nature, okay? And it involves a form of spiritual awareness, which many people are spiritually aware. They just don't attribute it to being prophetic. They are very spiritually aware. You know, when you step into a space and you sense something is off, you sense the spirit of the room, you call it a vibe, right? When you sense that the vibe is off, that's a spiritual intuition. That's a spiritual inspiration, okay? That is actually spiritual perception. You're perceiving or you're interpreting information that are not visible, okay? There's an awareness there and a discernment that enables you to grasp or comprehend something. You don't know, you may not know what it is, but there is a message there. Maybe there's a message that you need to comprehend. These things also allow people to comprehend visions or revelations, and we know that those visions and revelations can come from the dream realm or the trance or the open eye vision, right? Or the imagination. All of these things, being able to decipher and divinely identify these inspired things are necessary. So in essence, the prophetic cognition involves the cognitive facilities and the faculties that allow someone to connect with and comprehend the prophetic realm. And this is how we gain insight and understanding that's beyond the natural perception, beyond the natural realm. A lot of times people don't delve into, well, why am I feeling this way? Well, what am I sensing? Well, what did I just see? I'm not sure what I just saw, right? We talked about special purpose vehicles. That's absolutely important. What are the special purpose vehicles of the prophetic system? Mysteries, secret things, hidden things, parables. All of these things are houses for the prophetic. They conceal the prophetic. Okay? So this is very important that we identify these things, because at the end of the day, you have to make a decision to be prophetically cognitive. You have to make a decision to wrap your head around the prophetic. It doesn't just happen. You have access to the realm. You have access to some things, but if you never give attention to what you have access to, it never means anything to you. It never amounts to anything. And then you don't have an acceptance of what is being presented. And so you probably are walking into all kinds of traps, all kinds of situations without knowing that you're walking into those situations. You understand what I'm saying? So this is important. The decision to be prophetically cognitive is the wisdom that sets the new breed apart and propels us to the execution and the advancement of the technology of heaven on earth, while others decide to sit in the space of precognitive dissociation, which we were talking about the other day. Thank you, Elder Vicky. Precognitive dissociation. You guys remember what that is, correct? Let's go back over that. What does it mean to be precognitive dissociated? It means that you are not recognizing these things that are being revealed to you. Okay, uh, it is the negating of or the abandonment of information. So I would even relate precognitive dissociation to ignorance. And ignorance is not, a negative term. It is a factual term that says you are ignorant of something that is being presented. I'm giving you a simple term, and we'll go back over it in a moment to get to a deeper term after we get done going through the description. So, a lot of people they decide to sit in the space of precognitive dissociation, okay, in the space of disconnection or separation of the thoughts or identity or consciousness or memories from that reality that's being presented from a spiritual realm, okay? They dissociate from it. And then they start asking things like, why? Why aren't things moving? Why aren't things working? Right? They're expecting something different while doing the same. And that is said to be insanity, the result of insanity, right? This is what the Holy Spirit said to me this morning. I'm going to tell you what I see as insanity. But I told you guys this the other day. A lot of the things that we say and do, we live off dead men's ideas. And that's not a negative thing. It just depends on what dead man's ideas we're living off of. Because there were some things that were put in the earth that are good, and they are divine ideas for us to behold, because we know that things are meant for our learning. So that's a good thing. But what dead man's ideas we're operating off of is crucial. Okay? But I believe it was given to Einstein that coined this phrase that doing the same thing, expecting something different, is insanity. And we have repeated that. But I say, as of this morning, that it's self-deception. It's a form of deception. It's not just an insanity. It is actually deception. You hear what I'm saying to you? So we're going to unpack some things this morning together. Let's go on the journey of decision. It's not a mindless exercise. What we're doing right now in this 111 days, what we're talking about right now, what we have discussed over the terms, over the time of kinetic prayer, this is not mindful exercise. It's mindful. It's intentional. And that's a decision. Prophet Marlise, come on, weigh in on some of the things that we're talking about right now. And if you'd like to sprinkle it with some of the other things that are standing out to you this morning, feel free to take just a little bit of time, even if it's 5 minutes, and just share this morning. We enjoy hearing your share. Go ahead and share with us.
Amen. Praise God.
Amen.
Um, a lot of times we we omit the instructions, we omit the word or the warning.
Mm,
We omit, and it's so contrary to what Yah says when he says take fast hold to instructions,
yeah.
you know. And so and and the thing is that we miss out on life when we do so. We miss out on things that we're supposed to embark upon, to experience, or
Mm,
to receive in this dominion and in this space called life, the season, a time of life. And we have to be more diligent,
yeah.
and we have to persevere. And even when the instructions do not sound, or the prophetic
Mm,
instruction or prophetic word comes, to not be in quick disagreement. It says, consider the matter.
mm,
Consider. Because sometimes, yes, we know, okay, no, that's foolishness. But in most cases, because it is foreign or it's something we don't want, we are quickly saying, or we don't like, we're quickly saying, no, that's not it.
oh, that's not God. Mm-mm.
And that's not God, right? And we walk away from it, or we turn away from it. We won't adhere. But then down the line,
Mm,
once it's brought back to mind and we're wondering why certain things are the way they are and why certain things are taking place, Or why is it something hasn't happened that you're expecting,
Mm.
or it's taking longer? You have to consider the matter. Where did I miss the mark? What
Yes.
is it that I didn't hear? Because he doesn't leave you ignorant.
No.
So, what instructions did I discount or omitted
Mm.
that should have been planted in me for my now, or for my reaping, for my growth, for my movement, for my ministry, for what, however it be, for my everyday life that's supposed to be a lot different?
Mm.
We miss it because we choose to miss it. And
Mm.
we ignorantly don't consider the matter. We're quick to respond because we know, when really, regardless of whether we know or not, or
Mm.
how we feel or not, whether we like it or not, consider the matter.
Mm.
Considering don't mean I'm in agreement. Considering means I'm going a little bit deeper to investigate.
Yeah. I'm gonna weigh this. I'm gonna weigh this.
Weigh it. Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Because
weigh.
we end up, and it be things that we omit, that we forget was
Mm.
said to us, spoken to us, given to us. We had it in a dream or something. And over time, the Lord will bring it back to our remembrance.
Yeah.
Be it through another person, or he allow you to re-encounter the dream or experience the dream, or bring that dream back to you so you can see, hey, I did not do what I was supposed to do. I did not hear, or I didn't fall in line with what the Lord said do.
Mm.
I omitted it because it was not convenient for me. It didn't sound like me. It didn't go well with my taste buds.
Mm. Yeah, my spiritual taste buds wasn't excited about that.
I'm not excited about that. Oh no, I'm not trying to work. Oh, I'm not trying to go that way. Oh
Mm.
honey, I'm not trying to waste the oil. God says, I'm trying to give you new oil. But those
My God.
things
Mm.
happen, that take place. So that is some of the insight, and some of the things that since we're talking, and all that I have heard, because I
Yes.
had to go out and come back in. But yes, those are things, and I've even made that mistake. I've even made that mistake drastically, because at one point I didn't think I was worthy of what was being said to me. Sometimes we
Mm.
don't think we're worthy to receive the word, or the that instruction, or that blessing, when God
And
is
sometimes
trying to
we don't see
groom
it as a
you.
blessing.
Yeah,
Sometimes we don't see it as a blessing because we don't understand it.
exactly.
Yeah.
I've been in that space, and so, and one was so clear, it was playing out exactly like the Lord gave it to me in dream, and
Yeah, that,
still,
that dream that you recently talked about was one of those areas
yes,
you
yes,
didn't see yourself as worthy of that
uh-uh,
particular
or that
thing.
I could even go that way. I'm too busy, you know, trying to make sure I don't do people wrong, till I
Right.
did myself an injustice.
But see, here's the
And
thing. See, here's the thing with that, because what happens is in the religious and the church industrial complex, they spend so much time teaching people how to strive and how to work for stuff. But that what happens is, with sons, you don't do things to get something. You do things because you are something. Because you
exactly.
become something, you function from that place. It's not the reverse. And so those complexes teach you to do it from the reverse. And that's why people get
Hmm.
stuck, because they don't understand
Hmm.
that their steps are ordered. They don't understand that. They don't understand how to walk out ordered steps. It means you just got to start moving. It means you got to make a decision to go in a
Hmm.
direction. And if you're needing, I mean, it's so profound to me when you think about the fact that Abraham didn't have a GPS, he didn't have a map, he didn't have any of that. But somehow he knew what direction to go into. Okay, we could definitely count it, because we know that Abraham was a prophet. We could definitely count it as one of the prophetic systems were in play here. We can definitely count it as that. Maybe he dreamt something. You understand? Maybe his
Hmm.
grandfather said something specific to him, because we know Noah was a prophet. Maybe his uncle Shem said something specific to him. You understand what I'm saying? What
Mm-hmm.
we do know is that he was a prophet and that the Father doesn't do anything unless he reveals it to his serving prophets. That's what we do know. Now, revealing it doesn't always mean giving all the details either.
Amen.
Revealing it could just mean that he had to walk it out as an example of faith, but his steps were still ordered. And maybe how he knew the direction that he was going was right was because the Father never corrected the direction. The only thing that we ever see corrected in his going was the fact that Ishmael was born. Okay. That's what we see corrected because that's where he got off at.
Mm-hmm.
He got off at the space where he stopped asking what's next. And he stopped having that fellowship or that communion about the decisions that he was making. You understand? Remember, he had that venting session with Yah. That's a real thing. He said, now you telling me all of this. First of all, my name means high father. I haven't had any children yet. I am baffled by the fact that I have accumulated all of this wealth. It's a family thing. Okay, I've got this wealth. And the only person that is close enough to me to receive what I have is my servant, my servant, Eliezer. I'm supposed to give all this to my servant? He said, no, you're not going to give it to Eliezer. You're going to have a son of your own loins. He said, okay, cool. All right, I'm settled. Let me keep walking. Let me keep walking this thing out. He didn't stop walking it out. He's walking and talking, But then him and Sarah come up with something because now it's already been stated. Now, here's the funny thing. You're already, according to how nature is working after the fall, in a space where you're coming close to the end of something that is able to procreate.
Mm-hmm.
But the Father says to you, it's going to come of your own loins. Now, why didn't nobody think, okay, if I'm going to have a child and I'm over 70, then why wouldn't my wife be able to bear? Why would I think that I'm the only one that can produce something? Because this is a miracle in and of itself. Because I feel like I'm way past the time. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But they sat and had this conversation that, came up with this idea. You notice there's this conversation thing happening. And this is why it's so important that we gain insight on what we should be accepting and what we should be rejecting. The funniest thing about this is that a lot of people don't know the difference between what they should accept and what they should reject. And the reason why they don't know this is because they have not solidified the relationship as they need to. They create their relationship based on acts and not relationship, based on, spurts of things and not consistency. Are you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like prayer is just it's a ritual to them. It's a religious act. But then, and when I say act, it's an act. You know how people do when they're acting? I'm not being funny. This is real. This is what he's saying to me. And he wants me to clarify this because there are a lot of people that are acting. Hello?
Mm-hmm.
You know what happens when you're acting? You're taking on a character that is not your own. Oh my God.
You're taking on a false persona.
It's a false person now. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Persona. It's a false persona. You know why? Because that's not your character. But when prayer becomes your character, then what you say is going to be responded to. When prayer becomes more than just I went and said something, I went and did something. When it becomes more than an act and a performance, then the thing that you say will be manifested. You see, people get these spurts and they get these responses because the Father's looking at their heart and say, oh, they're sincere. Oh, she's really sincere about this. She's in the space, Let me see about her. Because with loving kindness, he draws us. But when he draws us with the loving kindness, we don't get closer. We get what we want and then we get further away.
My God.
You understand? This is the nature. This is man's nature. Man gets what he wants. She gets what she wants. And then they back off as if to say, oh, I got what I want. I'm good. You know what that's akin to? A person that doesn't understand intimate relationship and says, I hope I hope it was as good for you as it was for me. Hello?
My Lord.
What you mean you hope it was as good for me as it was for you? What kind of mess is that? Are we relating here, or are you just getting something off of you? You're just getting something off your chest or off your loins. What are we doing here? Why wouldn't it be as good for me as it was for you if your interest was in it being good for me, just as it was my interest in it being good for you? Because intimacy is a two-way street, whether it's natural or spiritual. You understand what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Yeah.
It's not a one-way street. And a lot of people treat the relationship with Yah like it is some act or performance. He's not interested in your act of performance. It's a lot of things he does for you without you even knowing who he is yet. So if it was based on your act of performance, then you would get nothing. So it would behoove you, once you realize he's done something for me and I didn't even deserve what he did, then you want to get closer, because if he'll do this for me and I don't deserve what he did, I didn't do anything to deserve this, I didn't do anything to earn this, that makes me want to serve you.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? That makes me closer to you, that you're doing things for me that I've never positioned myself to be a recipient of. This is you just loving me. This is your expression of how you feel about me. I need to get myself together, because I've never experienced nothing like that. Instead, we want to attribute whatever mankind does to us to Yah. And it's like, he's not a man that he should lie. If he promised you a good and expected end, then you have to accept that that's what his desire is for you. And now you got to step into what it is that you have to do. What is your part of your good and expected end?
Come on.
What is your part? Because you play a part, treating him like he's street and common. Absolutely. What are we talking about here? How does the God of all creation become common to man? Make it make sense. You know how? Because we've heard so many things, and the complex of religion has plagued so many people, and they don't even realize they're plagued. Some people think, oh, I'm not religious, I'm in a relationship. Some people say that, and I love it because that's my space, but I really am in the relationship. But people say that as not to have a responsibility. But relationship is a responsibility. And when you lose the weight of relationship, you've lost the relationship. Because
Apostle.
relationship does bear a weight with it. You hear what I'm saying? But once you begin to get comfortable and common, you no longer feel the weight of the relationship. So now you're just doing stuff without the responsibility, without realizing that this comes with this weight, comes with, oh, no more weight, I don't have no responsibility. You at ease now. As if you don't need to stand that attention. You understand what I'm saying? Your whole life is at ease as it pertains to the Father. Never any respect. I'm using military terms. Never any salute. Never, none of that. Just at ease when he comes into the room. At ease, not understanding that he lives in you by his spirit. At ease, not understanding that all he's doing is for your sake. At ease, not understanding that even the connections that he gives you in different seasons are to propel you into your next dimension, whether they are diabolic or divine. At ease. Treating him like he's street and common. Like it's not even. Yes, ma'am.
They don't know how to stand at attention.
Don't know how.
Because when one of authority enters into the room, it's attention.
Period.
You have to come out of the at ease stance to the attention stance. But also with that, you were saying that they don't know, or they choose the ignorance. And a lot of times they see it as a negative. Some things they say, oh no, it's not me. That's not what I do. Now, going back to that dream, going back to the dream, he showed me the conversation, showed me the area, showed me the building. He didn't show me the beginning. But the beginning in the natural was, you look like money, automatically putting me in a space to have the mindset. So if they thought that, once I said give it to me, they would have done what? Complied.
Mm-hmm. Because it was given to you.
Because it was given me. But he was making me aware of who I was. And I didn't believe the message. Yeah. I didn't
Yep.
believe the authority that I had in that message. Let me say that.
Yep. Now I want to go back to something because you said something yesterday and I wanted to clarify it because I understood the direction you were going in, but now you're giving another aspect of it. Because what Prophet was talking about yesterday was when people are like, oh, they're not ready because they want to kind of, do a pity pat with people. You know what I'm saying? And so I brought forth this position of, well, here's the thing. In order for people to grow into something, they got to know something to grow
Mhm.
into, right? So now that's the clarity there. Here's what she's saying now. Because in that dream, she wasn't ready. She was positioned, but she wasn't ready because readiness is a position of the mind. Readiness is a position of the consciousness that understands the opportunity, that understands the time, that understands the chance. She was still questioning herself about whether she could accept this thing that was revealed to her because she was under the delusion of the complex. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, well, that might not be a good thing to do because am I doing the right thing? And did he say okay, so think about this. When he would tell the children of Israel, I've given them into your hands. I'm turning them over to you. They wasn't sitting there like, oh, well, should we do this or are we disrupting their home life? He said, listen, I'm giving this territory to you.
Come on.
Understand, you're going to need to subdue the territory by subduing the people that are in the territory. This is just what it is. This is what it goes. This is what goes along with it. And if you're not willing to subdue the territory, then how can you enter into it? Because there's no space for you unless you go in and make the space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? This is where this idea of colonization even came from. Yeah, I started that. But understand, his reasoning was different than wicked men's reasoning for colonizing every part of the earth with their filth and their cultures. You understand what I'm saying? Taking their resources and his reasoning was completely different.
Hmm.
And a lot of the nations that he dealt with were contaminated because we see that same situation throughout history where the watchers were sleeping with the women and DNA was corrupted and all of these blendings of things had created situations where now there was a defilement and he had already promised the land to his children. So now it was overrun with all of these other cultures that were not in service to him. And he's saying, get out of here. I had y'all squatting on this land to make sure it was flourishing for a people that were coming. It's not for you. I'll let you live here because you were preparing a way for somebody. Remember, he said, I'll give you lands that you didn't cultivate, fields that you didn't seed, houses that you didn't build. You understand? That's what that condition was. That's what the condition was with that. That's what the case was with that. Okay? So let's go to this real quick because we're talking about the power of decision. I want to just kind of throw this out here. What do you think helped make the decision? Because we're still dealing with the mighty men. We're still talking about that. Okay? Because I was sitting thinking about this prophetic cognition as it relates to the power of decision. And this is the choice to deny the choice to deny the cognition is a decision just as well as the choice to accept and further explore the cognition is a decision, right? But think about this. What made the men who were in debt and distress and going through all of those various difficulties, those that were in a compromising position, make the decision to meet David at a cave of Adullam? They already in a hard spot. Think about this for a minute now. Life is already challenging. What would make them that are already in a compromising position make the decision to meet David at the cave of Adullam? Come on now. At a cave? Leave where you are and potentially a space where you have a little bit of grounding or establishment to go to a cave? This says something about the character of these men because they identified the prophetic. They identified the word that was over David's life. Their mindset. The mindset was a prophet. They understood that there's something on David. He has already fought for us. He's already kept us from becoming slaves to the Philistines. From the Palestine, which is how you say it anyway. He's kept us from that. So we're going to go where he is. He's not here, then we're going where he is. We're going to make him a commander because we believe the word, the prophetic word that's been declared over his life. But think about this. So what then is the prophetic? Because it's something that we don't necessarily delve into all the time. And when we talk about the prophetic or we talk about the prophet, we love to talk about what the prophet does, but not what they represent. Because these are where all of those decisions weigh in at. Okay? Because we got to identify all the different aspects of a thing to make a decision. And a lot of people are making decisions based on no information at all, just what the history of what they've been doing is. They're making decisions based on their habits. They're making decisions based on whatever the former culture of their life was. They're making decisions based on a space that was from 30, 40 years ago. Where is the evolving of who we are as a people? Because the lack of being able to evolve says that we're not connected to the system of Yah, because the system of Yah is ever evolving. We become something. You hear what I'm saying? So the prophetic refers to the quality or the nature of being related to, characterized by, or involved in the communication that is divinely inspired, that is offering revelation, insight. You understand what I'm saying? This is in a broader sense, it pertains to the ability to receive and convey messages divinely, to be able to receive messages and visions and guidance that are that originate from a divine source. And we talked about the other facets of the prophetic, which are not actually a prophetic word, but they are of the prophetic system, which are the word of wisdom, the word of knowledge, prophetic acts, different things like that. These things provide spiritual direction and foresight and insight and understanding regarding a thing that has not yet taken place. Okay? So we love to discuss these things, but the prophetic is the communication that is divinely inspired. It's an oracle of Yah. How do you know that the source is pure? See, now we got to define who's talking to us and the purity of the source. So that takes a couple of things. The first thing it takes is for you to discern your own spirit. And a lot of people don't want to be real with themselves. So they wind up hearing the wrong voices. How easy, just think about this for a minute. How easy is it for you to get in a funk? For you to get in a space where you're down and doubting? It's such an easy space. You know why? Because it's habitual. You decide to do that. You can decide to do something completely different. That's why this cognitive piece is so important for me, because we talk about, the people are talking about Jesus and therapy. But the therapy that they're talking about is just going and laying on somebody's couch and letting somebody talk to you. But if they're not anointed to break you out of the pattern of thought that you're in, they're simply just cycling you and getting paid to do it. Where is the system, the divine system, without even announcing the divine system, that allows the person that says they're a believer, that is a counselor, to be able to open up a gate for folks, to let them out of the space that they're in? Why are we just medicating and giving prescription for something that is demonically inclined, that needs to be broken? A system that needs to be interrupted. Why? Because we don't see the value in the treasure that's in the earthen vessel. We see the value in collecting fiat currency for everything we do. But when we begin to see the value in the treasure that's in the earthen vessel, our mindset will change. You know, the impact that I have made with people that I've been connected to is what causes people to give. So there are people that are positioned, that the Father is positioning even in this hour, for bigger economic systems, for bigger things, to have more money in their hands. Why? Because they want to be a blessing. Can I tell you something? That's a reason for you to talk to the Father. Now, Father, you understand that you gave me this position. You've given me somebody in my life that speaks what you're saying to me so that I can be able to grow into who I'm called to be. Now, why wouldn't I have the resources to be able to help with the transactions that are being made spiritually? Why wouldn't I have what I need in my hand to be able to make the exchange or the transaction with what you've given me? You understand what I'm saying? You got to learn how to have the conversation. You're not having the right conversation. If you're approaching the conversation from a position of what I want, then there's no response to that. You're just simply delaying yourself. But when you get to the place where you understand covenant is the reason for wealth, establishment is the reason for wealth, and not just your own establishment, but the establishment of that which he gives you to establish or add to the establishment of. We got people, their mind ain't right about things, so they're either from one side of that equation all the way to the other. Oh, well, that preacher is rich, so I don't have to give him anything. Oh, that one is poor, so I have to help them. Both thoughts are insanity. Both thoughts are crazy, because you ain't helping nobody. This is something to be attributed to your account. Okay, it's not to my account. It's not to leadership's account. I'm talking about authentic leadership, because people love to give to inauthentic leaders. They buy cars for them. They do all kind of stuff. They buy houses. You can't believe the things that I've heard over the course of ministry, and seen over the course of my life, Prophet Marlise. But I'm amazed at what people are willing to do for inauthentic leaders, for non-honorable leaders that mishandle and mistreat people. They go out the world backwards for the leader that mishandles them and mistreats them. It's almost like, because they've been mishandled and mistreated, that the adversary just gave an extension of that from a spiritual perspective, so that they would be settled in this kind of abuse, so that that's all that they would ever accept. And a lot of people are dealing with these different abuses, but you've got to make a decision, a power decision. Somebody put power decision in the comment. You got to make a power decision in this season. You got to choose something different. This has to be intentional. This is not by mistake. I don't know if those of you that are coming into the room have liked the video yet, but I want you to like the video as you're here. I appreciate you being here. I don't mind that you're not saying anything, but what I do need for you to do is like this video. Okay? Can y'all do that for me? And somebody check and make sure that the numbers that are represented in the room represent the likes. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Whew. Prophet, say something. I'm gonna transition here. Power decision.
You know,
The decision you make has power.
it's interesting you say. when we hear word, or we do take it for granted a lot of times, because it's not coming from a particular mouth. And it's not about the mouth, it's about the sound, and
Mm,
knowing God's voice that comes out of that person. And we have preference. And for example, now I use myself as an example only because I've experienced it and I can tell the truth about myself.
okay. Come on. You
Okay.
have to tell the truth about yourself.
So when you've lived it, you know it.
Come on now.
When you've made the mistake, you know how to avoid it. But in this case, on both ends, when we don't accept what God is saying, what God is saying to us,
Mm,
because we're looking at our situation, because
my God.
somebody in the world spoke it, because He will use whoever He will.
He'll use whoever.
So when the person said, "You look like money," now I'm saying to myself, and I've been saying a long time, I am a multi-trillionaire. Okay?
Hmm.
Now I'm saying this, I'm believing this, I'm professing it. But
You're
when
saying,
someone else came to me and said, "You look like money,"
you're saying it.
but when someone else says, "Hey, it's on you," I see it.
Hmm. Hmm. We
I said,
love to
"Oh,
hear
thank you." You know, that false modesty.
it.
Oh,
We love
thank you.
to hear it.
Pray.
But be
That's good.
honest, we
Amen.
also
Praise the
think,
Lord. You know, because my situation, I was in a dry place.
my God.
So I could not see or phantom everything that took place in that encounter from beginning to end, because I was busy looking at what was in my purse immediately, not
Mm,
seeing that God was trying to put something in it, because
the
He
issue
had
is
other
never,
plans of growing me, and
yeah.
the provision was coming after my yes.
Come on.
But I
The
said
issue,
no.
profit, the issue is never the money. And that's where people get stuck because they
Wait,
think that the issue is money.
but see, the thing is,
Your mindset.
exactly. But also, well, I'm not even in a, they'll say I'm not in a position to do. Yes, I am.
Right.
I was in a position. Okay, what am I doing? I could have just let it sit like the man did until the Lord provided the provision. All I had to do was believe and walk and lead the city, basically. And then I'll show you the place where you're supposed to go.
Period.
But what happened is we look at our own surrounding, our own environment, and then we look at our own failure, or what we consider to be a failure. So
My.
we cannot receive the word the way we're supposed to. So we cheapen it, we
Mm,
discount it,
mm. My.
we treat it like it's a commercial. Don't believe it, but then it's stuck
Oh,
with us.
wow. Mm.
But we're these things. We like to be called by these titles. We like to be called out, and because we did thus and such and this and such.
We
But
like
the
the
thing,
accolades, is what she's saying. We
yeah,
love the
we like the accolades. But see, what happened is, I like the fact the man said, "You look like money." But did you know I didn't even really receive? I didn't know how to receive it.
hmm.
I've been saying it over myself so long and had not seen the results of it yet, to when
Oh,
someone else starts to see it manifest upon me, and God puts it in my path for me to start the beginning of my trillionaire life
come on.
that I've
You
been
denied it.
professing for so many years.
You
I
denied it.
failed at receiving the blessing I have been speaking over my own life.
Wow. Listen. I'm going to read this scripture. I'm going to read this scripture. It's in Matthew 23. I want y'all to see something. Y'all know I love he sends prophets early, but I'm going to read another conversation that the master had on the other side of the prophetic conversations that the prophets had. Okay? Come on, I want you to see this. Matthew chapter 23:34. You said something so powerful, prophet. Because listen, we love the accolades. The accolades make us happy. They make us excited. But can I tell you the thing that will make you even more excited and more happy? If you step into the accolade, if you really walk it out, if you really believe what was spoken of you and begin to walk in that vein until you see it. Listen to this. He said to the scribes and Pharisees, and I may paraphrase this, he said, "You snakes, brood of vipers, how are you going to escape the sentence of hell?" He said, "Because of this, I'm sending you prophets and wise men and teachers, but some of them y'all going to kill them. And you're going to crucify. And others you're going to flog in your synagogues and persecute in town after town." He said, "I sent you somebody. I sent you some bodies." He's repeating what the prophets said. He's saying, listen, there were prophets that were sent to you, but because you don't believe prophecy, you like the way things sound, but you don't believe prophecy. You quench the spirit of Yah. You don't allow it to flow to you. You don't allow it to permeate your being. You don't allow yourself to be seated with the prophetic. And so because you reject it, you're never seated with it, so nothing ever grows. He said, "You're a brood of snakes and vipers. And your sentence is going to be hell." Now, we're not just talking about hell as in the lake of fire. We're talking about lifestyle. We're talking about outcomes. In other words, you're not going to get desired outcomes. You're going to lose your influence trying to do it the way that you're doing it, because what you're not understanding is that I'm sending you the answer that could turn all of this around. You could keep your position as a priest. You could become a priest instead of a Pharisee. But you're so stuck in this mindset that has been permeating your whole being since you were born. You've been in this doctrine. And now you don't know how to get out. So I sent you prophets and you refuse to hear them. You know why? Because you're stuck. You're stuck in your own way. And it doesn't matter who I send or what they say. If it doesn't look like what you have in your mind, if it doesn't look like what you're thinking, because remember, he said, "I'll do abundantly, exceeding and abundant." But we want what we see. That's crazy. Who wants to minimize what the Father wants to do by only wanting it the way we see it? In the time that we see it in, by the way. In our time, in the way that we see it. And if it ain't that, it ain't him. If he's not responding the way I want him to respond, it's not him. He said, "Seeing they don't see." That means it's in your path. It's right before your eyes. Hearing they don't hear. It's right in earshot of you. But you're not seeing it or you're not hearing it because your own ears you have closed and your own eyes you have covered. Your ears are dull of hearing because you've been so busy listening to your own way of doing things that the way that I have designed it to be done that will bring you into a prosperous place, you reject it every time. You reject it every time. I'm about to close this thing. We're going to pick back up on what the prophetic is because I want to go into this dynamic of most people only deal with what prophets do, but not what prophets represent. But you've got to make a decision because what your representation is a result of what you believe. So you got to decide what you believe. That's where we are. A decision has to be made about what we believe because we've got to go from belief to becoming. You can't just stay at belief. Demons believe and tremble. Anytime the Mashiach came in encounter with a demonic entity, they were confounded. They had an issue because they were wondering, is it over? It has the time expired. Are we about to be dealt with? Demons believe and tremble, but they never become sons because they've lost that right. You still have space and time to become a son of Yah. No matter what you've taken on, no matter what mindset you've taken on, no matter what delusion you're under, because some of it is just self-deception. But we're dealing with this self-deception this morning. Listen, we call it out now. And if you can see it, you bring it under now. I've been deceiving myself. Ain't no enemy deceiving you at this point. You're on automatic. You don't need to do it anymore. You got to come out of agreement with every false covenant of darkness. Not just the relationships, but the ideas of that were a result of those false covenants. Something that we've got to do. Listen, we love you this morning. We will see you first thing in the morning at 5 a.m. Come on, be on time. We'll see you in the morning. The body is not a me thing. You got to get that in your heart and your mind. It's about us. It's a we thing. And the body fitly joined produces something. It supplies something. Come on, bring somebody to the table. Bring somebody to the table tomorrow. Blessings, brother. I see my brother Apostle Ben in the room. I love you. Peace to your house, saints.
Shalom, shalom.